Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher, and I'm on the Mistweaver Monk, my favourite healing class in all of Mists of Pandaria, by far actually, by a long way. They work both with output and playability. A lot of classes I enjoy to play, but they don't really have the output, or I don't like playing them and they have serious output, but this thing combines both of them. So I'm hoping you give this thing a try. Leveling a monk is one of the easiest things you can do, and it's worth it, believe me. You just have so much fun with these, and the way they work is actually totally different. I can actually see this as the foreshadowing of how healing is going to become, which is in fact active mitigation. Not for the tanks though, but for the healers, actively mitigating your mana. Yeah, kind of interesting idea, but the more I play this, I actually see that this is an active mitigation model designed around mana regen. So it's pretty damn cool. Let's talk about your talents and stuff. I'm going to tell you how to play this bad boy and hopefully have a huge blast at it like I have. Your level 15 talents. Alright, look, before we get into this, there is a huge synergy that exists between Celerity and Chi Torpedo. Okay, so I don't want to skip straight to level 90s, but let me tell you, there's a reason we take Celerity, and it's because it works so well with Chi Torpedo, which is just a fantastic spell. It's really hard to argue with not taking Celerity. There are other options, but realistically speaking, very few occasions you're going to want to take Tiger's Lust or Momentum in comparison to Celerity because of how it works with Chi Torpedo. So bear that in mind as we get down there, and I'll explain it further. As always with talents, guys, it is purely your choice. I'm going to give you my recommendations based on experience and based on how I feel about how the class works, and then you can take it from there and make your own judgments. At level 30, you're generally going to be taking Chi Burst. Although there is a lot of choice with talents, there are some that are just better than others. Some prefer Chi Wave, not me personally. What I like is this 0.9 second cast, 30 second cooldown. Bear in mind it fires in front of you. Okay, it goes in front of you. Always worth remembering that this thing goes in front of you. It's not a targeted spell, so if you're targeting some derpy over here and you fire Chi Burst and you're facing this way, your Chi Burst is going to go away from you, alright? Bear that in mind all the time. It's going in front of you. Fires out in front of you. It's pretty damn cool. And it also, it continues to allow you to dodge and parry. Always worth remembering that you still don't lack avoidance, although it's not a big deal for us as healers. At level 45, it's mana regen. Now, I'm going to talk pretty extensively about mana regen because of the interesting active mitigation style of the Mistweaver, but bear in mind, some of these just overall return more mana than others. That doesn't particularly mean that one is better than the others. Although we'd like to say, hey, this one returns more mana than the rest, sometimes we need our certain playability to be a factor in that, as mana is not a great concern for the Mistweavers either way. Power Strikes, gotta be in melee range. Obviously, that's coming from your jab, so bear that in mind. Are you doing some jabbing or not? Are you going to have an opportunity to do that? Are you going to get the full benefit of Power Strikes? Probably not, alright? Probably not. You can get it from Soothing Mist and your Spinning Crane Kick. Again, not exactly the best things that you're going to be using. The most reliable thing you do there is actually your Expel Harm. Okay, your Expel Harm is what's going to be generating it there, but bear in mind, it's kind of okay, not the best. Ascension, not really, unless you're actually struggling with your mana management in some way and struggling with your chi usage. Ascension's going to become out pretty useless, and you're basically taking it for the maximum mana benefits. Again, mana, not a great concern. So there's two downsides to that. One, if you're good with your class and therefore chi is no big deal, then you're not going to get the benefit of that extra chi. And on top of that, the extra 15% mana, not actually that important for the Mistweavers. Your Chi Brew, however, is awesome. Instantly restores 2 chi and generates 2 stacks of Manatee, a maximum of 2 charges. This thing is absolutely goddamn fantastic, okay? On-demand double uplifts and enveloping mist, whatever you need to use your chi for. Chi Brew is essential, and also gives you that Manatee, which is far better in my opinion than having a larger mana bar or anything else that you can get. Having the extra Manatee that you can slip in when you desire it. Absolutely love Chi Brew, generally the go-to. Level 60 doesn't matter, pick whatever the hell you want. You might have an opportunity to leg sweep, maybe. I like leg sweep, if I'm doing some 5-man content or whatever, I could give you a little leg sweep every now and again. A lot of people forget they actually have it. That's entirely down to you. I do enjoy my leg sweep. Your level 75 defensive ability, your general go-to is Diffuse Magic. As a stood-out-of-the-way caster class, your generally big problem is magical damage, and it reduces all spell damage taken by 90% and clears all magical effects on you. Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's fucking awesome. Dampen Harm does include some physical damage reduction should you need it. There will be occasions when you need it. Healing Elixirs, Every 18 seconds you gain healing elixirs. Healing elixirs heals you for 50% of your total health the next time a damaging attack brings you below 35% of your maximum health. Or you drink a brew or tea while injured. Yeah, not really. No. Right, let's see. I mean, you read it and you go, nah, not really. Some people are going to argue that it's great. It isn't. Not for a Mistweaver. It's just not. Diffuse Magic or Dampen Harm are going to be your two choices. A level 90. Right. If you can... There are very few encounters where Chi Torpedo isn't amazing. Alright, I'm going to put that out there. This is why it's so good. It's completely free, and it does generally an absolute turd burglar amount of healing. It's incredible. And with Celerity, you can do 3. Okay, so you can go backwards and forwards. You can charge through people. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. Now, you might say, oh, 32k healing is not that much. When you're shooting through a big crowd of people, that thing's going to add up to very quickly sort of 500,000 healing. Yeah, it does so much healing. You're actually going to find on your healing meters that Chi Torpedo, in general, if you're good with it, is going to come out as like number 3 of the healing spells you casted, and it's completely free. You can do it on the move. It's a godsend. It's a wonderful spell. Rushing Jade Wind is kind of your other choice if you have to be stood still and moving out of the pack to do a Chi Torpedo. Because the one problem Chi Torpedo does have and cannot get away with is that it does in fact send you a distance. So if you think of things like Duramuru, things like that where you are trapped in a little space and you've got to kind of shimmy around, then swapping over to a Rushing Jade Wind is probably going to be preferable. But it's a choice like, do I have to not take Chi Torpedo? That is what the thought process is. Can I not get the best advantage of Chi Torpedo here? Okay, then I have to take something else. Just bear in mind that Chi Torpedo is so fucking good. Rushing Jade Wind's going to set you back about 21k mana. That's going to cost you nothing, and you're going to get so much healing out of it, guys. Get used to it flowing into your rotation really nicely, okay? You want to be shooting through packs of people on a regular basis. Let's talk about your glyphs. Glyphage, this is my favourite one. And it seems so stupid, but it really is. Glyph of Targeted Expulsion. Expel Harm can now be used on other people. Yes! Expel Harm is the cheapest, most efficient way of generating chi ever. We want to use it on cooldown. What we have is this ability just to throw out a bit of extra healing on somebody we're healing, because generally we're not in that much danger, okay? We're just not. So, if we do need to expel harm ourselves, we still can by targeting ourselves. You can still do that. But more often than not, you're going to be expelling harm on cooldown. And you're going to be targeting other people. That just throws out a little bit of extra healing for those bad boys. People are going to be wondering about this Glyph of Enduring Healing Sphere. I see so few people taking advantage of Healing Sphere. Healing Sphere is fantastic. You should have it keybound and you should be ready to use it on command. They now last 3 minutes. Okay, your Healing Spheres now last 3 minutes. Healing Sphere is a great spell. It really is. If you're moving in a big row and you can't really Chi Torpedo people, there is nothing wrong. If we suppose these are our raid members, there is nothing wrong whatsoever with dropping Healing Spears in their path, because they do so much healing, guys, and you could just spam it away and leave a little trail of golden goodness straight for your allies. So bear in mind, a great glyph to pick up there. This one's the debatable one. In 10-man, you might not get the benefit of it unless it's something like Immersus, where your radius spread out. This is your Renewing Mist, travels to the furthest injured target within 40 yards. Really, truly amazing for your LFRs and for your 25-man raids. You generally don't want your Renewing Mist just ticking on the closest possible people. You want it all over the damn place. You want that thing flying around doing work. Glyph of Renewing Mist allows it to put in that work, okay? It's going to fly around, it's going to pick up those people who are stood in the distance. You've been in those situations where suddenly there's some derper who stood miles away from you and he's dying because he's stood in some nonsense or whatever. You all have that guy in your raid. Glyph of Renewing Mist is going to be taking names and picking him up. But again, bear in mind, 10-man, maybe not getting the benefit of that whatsoever. Mistweaver monks do play differently in 10 than they do in 25, okay? Let's talk about gearing, because this is just a tremendous in my eyes. Actively mitigating mana. Spirit, not that important. Thank God. Spirit is so effing boring, I can barely wrap my head around how long it's lasted in the game. It's so boring. It kind of reminds me of stamina. It's like, okay, I have more health. Yay. And some people get a real big fucking chunky monkey hard-on for having more health. People in the know realize that just having more health probably isn't actually the best situation to be in if your other stats are all screwed up. Spirit is even more boring than that. It just allows you to have more mana to play your class more. Yay! Which kind of sounds fun, but for all the wrong reasons. I want to play my class however I want to play my class. So Spirit is really boring. Once you reach a moderate gear level, this is 484, nothing special, you guys will be able to shit all over that. One thing you will quickly realize is that your mana as a Mistweaver monk, if you start taking care of it, ain't going anywhere. It ain't going anywhere fast if you're playing a sort of standard steady rotation we'll talk about later. As such, we start reforging away from Spirit towards Critical Strike. And Critical Strike is going to allow us to generate much more Manatee, okay? Read what your class does and how it works. Manatee is an absolutely fantastic spell. It gives us our Brewing Manatee. For each 4 chi you consume through your spells and abilities, you get a charge of Manatee. Your chance equal to your crit chance to generate double the Manatee charges. Awesome. So Critical Strike rating is actively refunding us more mana through that ability, through the Manatee ability. More Critical Strike chance, more Manatee, more mana back. This is fantastic. And Spirit becomes very, very secondary. I mean, almost tertiary in its response. As you can see on every single item, Reforged from Spirit, Reforged from Spirit, Reforged from Spirit. I have gemmed pure Critical Strike rating in any item that isn't really giving me a good significant bonus, okay? So you're going for as many crit gems as you can fit in there, unless you're trying to reach some sort of minimal haste cap. See your Reforge add-ons for that. If there is a really good one, like say 180 intellect, maybe you're going to be thinking about gemming it. I'm still not personally even happy with that. 180 intellect over just having more crit, more mana regen, blah blah blah. Fine. If you've got a red slot that's really worth picking up, you're going to use an int crit gem in there. But bear in mind that in general you want as many crit gems, and seriously think about what your set bonuses are. Unless they're passive like this, I did not want 120 spirit bonus. Let's put that out there. If I see a spirit bonus on my Mistweaver monk, go fuck yourself. I don't care. This thing is just the fact that it was yellow slots. I haven't done anything to try and pick that up. If I'm seeing 60 spirit there, it's fuck off. Crit gem. Oh, what's this? 60 crit? No, I want 320 crit. Oh, what's this? 120 intellect, but I'd have to put 2 blue gems in there, or green gems? Nope. Crit. That's how it works, okay? Getting your crit, sorting your haste out so you're getting your extra ticks on your Renewing Mist. Again, Reforge add-ons for that. Don't ask me for specific numbers. It changes based on your gear. Alright? You're going for as much crit as possible. The lack of having to use Spirit, I just want to reiterate this, that every single item I have is reforged away from Spirit. I have no mana issues at all. You can still run into mana issues if you start playing a little bit derpy, but we'll talk about that later. I have no mana issues in any of the content that I do on this. In fact, I come out with plenty of mana using my Manatee. I generate tons of Manatee in this moderate gear. Still a blue on there as well. It's fine and dandy, and it allows you to focus on your other secondary stats, which are arguably more fun. Your haste is always a little bit more fun, extra ticks is good, and more mastery for more healing spheres being dropped all over the place. So good. So good. Do not worry about your spirit. Really, once you're around this gear level, you're going to very quickly realize it just ain't that important. So let's talk about your playstyle. You're going to need some sort of add-on in order to track these various spells. You want to track, definitely, Renewing Mist, your Chi Burst, and your Expel Harm. These are primary, because these are things that you want to keep on cooldown because they're very effective. You also want to be tracking your Chi Torpedo, like I am, and then your Chi Brew, your Manatee, your Thunder Focus Tea, your Life Cocoon, and your Revival. Your habits that you will need to get into in all cases are keeping Renewing Mist and Expel Harm on cooldown. They're super cheap, they generate Chi to use in our other spells, and they fly around and they do their work for us passively. By getting into the habit of keeping Renewing Mist on cooldown, when we need to get everybody set up for a huge uplift, and we want to use our Thunder Focus Tea in order to make sure we have sort of 9 Renewing Mist ticking on the raid, we're already in a position where there's 6 ticking. With a good habit of Renewing Mist, we always have 6 Renewing Mist ticking, and we can Thunder Focus Tea and rejuve all those people on demand. It's whenever we need it. It's like, oh, okay, I need to AoE here now, Thunder Focus Tea. We don't have to think about it. We're not thinking about setting it up, which is kind of the way it worked in the past, where we were setting up for the big uplift. Once you get into the strict habit of keeping that Renewing Mist on cooldown as soon as possible, you'll be able to do it on demand. And it's a real nice, relaxing style of gameplay. You don't need to think, God, I'm going to take 2 more Renewing Mist before I can get at least 6 ticking to revive them. It'll always be ticking because you're in the habit. Chi Brew, you definitely want to keep this thing recharging because it's generating Manatee every time you use it. You can see there 2 stacks of Manatee generated, and you want to be using that as much as possible as well. And you definitely want to try not to get to 3 Chi torpedoes, because even if it's a moderate amount of healing, it's completely free and you want this bad boy recharging, okay? It has a very low recharge time, just a few seconds. Keep that on cooldown. Okay, Chi Torpedo, very important. Keep it on cooldown, keep it regenerating so it's not just going to waste. Unless you know some major event is coming, some cataclysmic moment, and you need 3, don't worry about it. Just keep it regenerating and get the most out of that spell because you've got it sitting there, okay? Bear in mind, you diffuse magic, your revival, and your life cocoon. And your Manatee, best time to Manatee for me. Some people are trying to work out some optimal, you know, if you're going to get overly mathy, you can go to the end of time with this stuff. What you want is to be using Manatee in between Renewing Mist, because Renewing Mist and Expel Harm need to be on cooldown. When they're on cooldown, use your Manatee in the meantime, and then you're going to have a good old time, okay? You're going to have a really good time just planning that out. Don't let it get too high is my advice to you, because if you start using, say, 12, 13 stacks of Manatee, your Renewing Mist is going to come off cooldown, and please don't be afraid to cut off your Manatee if you need to start casting something. If you screw it up and you've got things off cooldown like Expel Harm and Renewing Mist, which are going to generate more Chi, and as such, generate more mana regen, don't be afraid just to cut it off and get on with what you're going to do. Just try and think, is Expel Harm or Renewing Mist about to come off cooldown? If not, I've got a nice opportunity here to throw out some lovely Manatee and keep my mana nice and happy. Alright? Now, I did say that playing a sort of standard rotation, which is what I've just told you. Keeping Renewing Mist, Expel Harm, using Soothing Mist in the meantime. Make sure you keep your statue down. Using Soothing Mist in the meantime, which will also generate more Chi. You are not going to run out of mana if you keep doing that. The problem is, of course, when things start going a little bit hairy, alright? So let's say our friend here is in serious trouble and we have to start spamming some Surging Mists. That's going to cost you, friends. Look at my mana. If you start spamming mega spells on people, you're of course going to run out of mana. Similarly, with doing a sort of DPS rotation, okay? If you start throwing in some DPS spells, you're certainly going to run into the situation where you'll run out of mana. Actually doing melee DPS is very, very mana heavy. I mean, really mana heavy. You want to just bear in mind how mana heavy it gets if you're doing melee. So, don't want people going out there doing a lot of spamming of big giant ass fucking heals and doing a lot of melee DPS and saying, Preacher, I'm running out of mana, but you told me I wouldn't do. Yeah, that kind of playstyle is definitely going to hurt you. And if you are in a 10-man where you tend to use more Surging Mists, you might want to ease up on the Spirit Reforging just a touch, but again, it's down to your personal gear levels, okay? Don't dictate it as a strict rule and go Reforging your Spirit off when you're all in greens. Work out what the content needs. If you're comfortable, fine. Think about it, okay? Easy as that. Really is as simple. I want to get into the gameplay because there's more to talk about there. So I'm actually going to do a separate gameplay video for this one because I fucking love it. Enjoy. See you guys.